All right, guys. So welcome to another episode of the Vet Rise podcast. On this episode, we had Branden on as a guest. We talked about equanimity. We talked about how is it that we can use our old skills from the military to make sure we lead in society, and why we have to work on making sure that we don't limit our mindset. It was an absolute banger. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure that you give them a follow on social media. And here we go.
Welcome to the Vet Rise podcast. I'm your host, Juan Perez. My goal is to make success after service accessible to every veteran in society. I believe in the power of leveraging your service, not as a label that defines you, but as a launching pad for your next chapter. What we have been doing has not been working, and it's on us to start changing the culture. Enjoy the episode, and thank you for your time. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Vet Rise podcast. Today's a special episode. Branden, my man, is joining us, and we've actually been trying to get him on the podcast for a while. But he is such a freaking go-getter that he's always busy, and I'm always busy. But we finally created time. We created this space for us to be able to have him on today. So I'm going to open up the floor to him. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself. I'm going to ask him some questions. And then by the end of this, I know that you will get some amazing value. And I encourage each and every one of you to reach out to Branden, especially if the things that he's talking about resonate with you and you are looking for an opportunity in your life to just do more than what you're doing right now. So Branden Bowman, do me a favor, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we will keep the conversation going from there, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. First off, I want to just say honor to you, Juan, for everything that you're doing for the veteran community. I've been following you for a good amount of time before I actually reached out to you, and just wanted to honor you and what you're doing. What you're doing for veterans right now is absolutely needed. There are so many veterans that are coming out of the military with no mission, no purpose, no idea what they really want to do with their life. And they also a lot of times have families to support. And you're the man that's leading from the front. You're the man that's helping other veterans. You're the lighthouse. You're helping everybody else get out of that rut, get out of that valley of the darkness. And you are that light that's bringing veterans in. So first off, I just wanted to start off with honoring you, brother, for everything that you're doing, because you are helping veterans at a high level. And if just being a part of it today is, I'm just sitting here blessed, grateful, and I'm excited to create some value for your listeners, because I know I want to help veterans as well. And so we're in alignment with what we're doing. So I just wanted to start it off by just bringing some light to what you're doing, Juan, and the Vet Rise podcast and the social media that you're doing. So honor to you, brother. I see this be massive, helping hundreds of thousands of veterans. So,
well, freaking thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Of course, man.
Wow.
So yeah, a little bit about me. So I served 5 years in the United States Marine Corps. I joined at 20 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I went into the recruiter's office, the only thing I thought the Marine Corps had was ground pounders. And I was pretty blessed and fortunate to have a recruiter that actually ended up doing what I do now, or I did do in the Marine Corps, which is a 6173 CH-53 crew chief.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, I like to say it the civilian way, was a door gunner, tail gunner, mechanic for helicopters. And I did that, like I said, for 5 years. What was great about it is I got to do so much traveling in the Marine Corps. I got to go to 42 states, 4 or 5 countries, meeting the King of Norway. I got to do a flyover for the Tennessee Titans, which was amazing. And I really just got to do everything I wanted to do in the Marine Corps in such a short amount of time at such a young age. And just like, that's like the 10% of the job. That's the 25% of the job is all the cool highlight reels.
Yeah.
We all know that in the Marine Corps, in the military space, it's the other 75% that people don't talk about a lot. It's the other, stuff that happens outside of work, during work, that's not actually the mission itself. And so what we don't realize is we're in the moment when we're during the service, but when we get out of that transition out, there has to be a transformational process. And that's why I'm really glad to be spending some time with you today. And so, like, I've been out, next month will be 7 years that I've been out of the Marine Corps, which is crazy how fast that happens. And for me, I like to say that I wandered around in the desert for 5 years. Thank God it wasn't 40 years, right?
Yeah.
So I did some wandering around, and it doesn't matter if you did go overseas, you didn't, you were stateside the whole time, if you're deployed, that transition out of the military is one of the most difficult things you can go through as a veteran. And so 5 years, I kind of just was like stumbling around, just trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. Tried real estate. I tried my GI Bill. I tried so many different things. And I just never could find something that resonated with having a solid mission, purpose, bringing in the income that I wanted to, be able to create the freedom. Because a lot of veterans, they want that freedom, but they're so used to being told what to do every single day that freedom is actually really scary. And so for me, I actually got connected with my now best friend, Justin Herman, at one of my men's Bible studies. And he told me about this opportunity to serve veterans and help veterans get set up with their life insurance. Fast forward a year and a half later, this March, I was able to do something that's never been done in the company history, which is I was able to do 100% referral base, up $55,000 in sales, earning myself 43 grand in one single month. Now that's exciting, but what's crazy about that is I actually did the math. When I left the Marine Corps in 2017 with flight pay, that's actually what I earned in an entire year.
Wow.
And so I was able to do that in one single month. And for me, it was like, man, that's such an amazing opportunity for other veterans that if they knew about it, they could take on that template. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in a little bit. I'm excited to talk to you about that, is taking on that template. But it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that. There's that part where when I was leaving, I mean, I know a lot of veterans, and I know we can all resonate with this, is, I had a wife, I had best friends, I had my mission, my income, my purpose, everything wrapped up in one place. And I believe most of us can remember when we drove out those gates for the last time from Marine Corps Air Station New River. That's it. It's over. That's it. And so for me, it took a few years, like I said, to really like figure things out. And we can dive into that, is like going through that transition and transforming ourselves into the new person that we need to be in the civilian world.
Yeah.
So
I have so many thoughts and so many questions on that. So I want to start off by asking you this. Do you feel like the veteran community has a lot of skepticism and has a lot of fear of growth, fear of money, the wrong mindset, if you will? Do you feel like there is a gap that needs to be bridged as far as veterans understanding that success does not equate to selling out, or there are different ways of making money, that it doesn't have to be that 9 to 5. It doesn't have to be you going into government work, right? Does that question kind of make sense?
yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay.
I think what we are trained really well in the military, Marine Corps, is to take orders, and we take orders and follow them through really well. Now, when you have a boss, somebody that's holding you accountable, or it's an or else, right? It's an ultimatum. It's like, do this or else you're out, right? There's a bit of a sense of urgency. Hey, we need to get this done. We need to follow these orders. I'm really good at this. Been trained to do it since day one at boot camp. Now there's an opportunity. There's actually many opportunities out there where you can go and create the wealth. And I think about money as freedom, because what I'm looking for in my life is just more freedom to be with my family, to be able to travel more. I'm actually leaving to Spain tomorrow from the company, just got back from Ireland, and I just wanted some freedom. And so it is really scary to know that, like, when you go into certain things that are commission based or entrepreneur or creating that freedom, is you got to take a bit of a risk. And that risk is not as calculated as we're used to when it is in the military, because we know we do X, Y, Z, we get promoted, right? Here, there's a little bit more of like X, Y, go back to X, go move to Z. Oh, you need to go back to Y and figure it out, right? We got to figure it out. So I think it's like really just for the first time is taking ownership in yourself and what you learned, and learning really just to learn how to apply it to just new skill sets, because we're trained so well to lead, to run high missions. Like, we could absolutely take that and just go and create a life of freedom. but it's scary. I'm not going to lie and say it's not scary. Like, it's really scary to be able to go from, a paycheck every other week to where you go and create it. But I can tell you this, on the other side of that is so much more freedom, and it's so much more rewarding when you do figure that part out, and it's worth every day.
So it's been 7 years since you got out, right? Basically.
Yeah, 7 years. Yeah.
How long do you feel like it took you to come to this realization? I'm sure it was a journey. I'm sure it was a process, right? But was there a moment, a mentor, something that made you have that realization of, I don't have to work a job that pays me based on what I am physically doing at the moment, right? Where there is more opportunity and growth in just being able to network and do what you're doing right now, right? Was there a realization? Was there a moment that made you see things from a different point of view?
Yeah, I think there's 4 things that you have to look for. So the first thing is you got to find a mentor. You got to find a mentor with followable excellence. And so for you guys listeners right now, like the VetRise podcast, the VetRise community, that's a form of mentorship. That's a form of a community that you could plug yourself into. And that's what's beautiful about this world of virtual is we don't have to be in the same location. In fact, I believe you're in Illinois, I'm in Texas. Like, we're not even in the same area, but this world of being virtual is you can find mentors on social media, right? You can find mentors in great communities like the VetRise community. There's plenty of mentors that are out there. And what you're looking for is something that's followable excellence. Because there's a difference between perfection and excellence. Perfection is like an end point. Excellence is that strive for growth every single day. Like, you're never actually going to fully achieve it. In that way, you're always going to be developing and growing. And so the second thing is a template. You got to find something that is a template that you can follow, just like you did in the military. Is you got to find something that has the steps for success. And a lot of times when you find a good mentor, if you really pay attention to them, if they have the fruits in their life that you're looking for, they usually have a template with them, right? And then the third thing is you have to have be looking for something that has an opportunity for growth, right? So you got to be able to always be committed to growing. And what I always look at is all building, just like on the mentor, is like, when I look at my mentor, I look at that as my future, right? So for me personally, when I was getting out, there was a gunny that was like, man, I don't care if we work every single day, we're going to do 12 on, 12 off. And for me, I was like, I needed something that when I look on the other side of the desk, or when I look on the other side of the camera, or the other side of what my future looks like, that has to be what I want in my future. And then the fourth thing is culture or a tribe. So you have to find a good culture, a positive reinforcing culture. Because I know you talk about this a lot, is veteran culture can be, a little crazy, right? Yeah. If you can't talk like you did or be like you did when you were in the service, you have to transform yourself into somebody. And what I've learned is when you surround yourself with high achievers, you're going to increase by 15% just by being in the room. But when you're in a room of underachievers, you're actually going to lower yourself 30%. It doesn't matter what the topic is. By just being in the room of high achievers, you're going to raise yourself 15%. Low achievers, you're going to lower yourself 30%. Right? And then the fourth thing is, it kind of goes in with the mentor. There's 3 people you need to figure out and find in your life. Somebody that you're following, you're learning from. Somebody you're doing life with, your accountability, your battle buddy. And then the third person is somebody that you're bringing up. So you're always you always have a mentor, right? That they're helping develop you to become what they are. You have somebody you're doing life with, your battle buddy, your accountability person, like your ride or die. And then your third person is that person that you're bringing up. And so,
I like that, man.
Yeah.
Keep going. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. I'm hoping you guys are getting some value out of this. You keep directing.
Yeah. It's pretty freaking amazing, dude. Because let's think about it, right? So you're talking about things that are definitely needed for success in society, right? But if we reflect back on it, a lot of these things are things that were taught to us in the military. We just have to learn how to translate them into culture, into society, right? So like in the military, you had a mentor, you had someone that was leading you, your team leader, platoon sergeant, squad leader, whatever it was. You had people that you were doing life with, your people that were in your team, and the people that you were mentoring. Because eventually you do get to that role where you are an NCO, and as a corporal, you know that you have people that you are helping bring up. So yeah, I like that mentality. I like that. I don't know if I've ever thought about that personally. I mean, everything you said made a lot of sense. My mentor is in Canada, so out of the United States, right? And it's definitely what you said hit home as far as what I see on that screen is what I want, because that is what I want. That is what I'm aiming at. I have something to aim at. The template is there. He's providing it. And the culture and the tribe is absolutely freaking so important. So I joined my mentorship program. I did my coaching, my business coaching. And first event that I went to, I found my people. I found that new group of people that became my tribe. Since the first event that I went to, I've been to 3 other events, and I'm going to the 4th one here middle of September or end of September, because I refuse to miss it, because I understand the value of being around people that are high performers, and I understand the value of being around the person that you're trying to learn from and grow from. So I'm all about that, man. I think that that is a great way of looking at it, and I think more veterans have to open their minds to seeing things from a different point of view than just the way that we used to see them.
Well, we did it in the military, right? Like you just said that you had the people that you like looked up to,
Mhm.
and then you had your people that were maybe of the same rank, your corporals, right? You're looking up to your staff sergeants, you got your corporals, and then you're responsible for, the lance corporals and, PFCs and stuff like that, right? So like, I know if you, a lot, there's a lot of like those privates or lance corporals, or there's, maybe you got a little bit further along. There's always somebody that you always want to bring up. So we just have to be more intentional when you get out. So that's the difference. It's just more intentional, because everything in the military you have to do, everything outside of it you get to do. So you had to do it in the military. Now you get to do it after. So if you take those skills and just be more intentional in the civilian world, you're going to create so much more freedom. And you know what freedom actually means? It means peace. Freedom equals peace. My life is so peaceful right now.
I love that word.
It's just intentionality. Because what happens is, if you're not intentional, finding that person you're working towards, finding that person that you're developing with, and finding that person you're bringing up, then you're lost. And it's scary being lost, because when you're lost, that's when you isolate yourself, because you don't have a battle buddy, right? And everyone is probably listening. They're like, well, it's hard to find somebody because of where I'm at. What did we just talk about earlier? We talked about living in a virtual world. You and I've been seen as like a battle buddy. We don't communicate as often because we're like high level people just trying to build something really powerful. But I still see you as like, we check in with each other like, hey man, you good?
100%. 100%. I
Don't
feel
need
the same
anything more
way.
too, man. We good?
Yeah.
So, and then you are bringing up so many people, and we're doing the same thing over here with what we're doing over at AO and helping veterans serve veterans. So you just have to be intentional with it. So
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that when you open the world of understanding that the virtual world is so powerful that you can be literally in a different state than someone and learn so much from them and connect with them, it almost makes you feel like the world is so much larger than it really is, right? Because we're used to being around people and we feel like we need someone there to hold us accountable, but it doesn't always work that way. And I think over the past, like, honestly, 2-3 years, the whole world of Zoom and doing stuff online has really evolved, because I think we see the potential there. So I want to pivot a little bit and ask you about kind of what you're doing now, right? So obviously you've been out for about 7 years. Your journey was different. You went through, I'm sure, some trials and tribulations. What brought you into the organization, the company that you're with now, as far as like what was the start there? And then we can talk more about that.
yeah, great question. So so I've been doing what I am doing currently right now for the last 2 years, and I can confidently say, hand on Bible, I'll be here the rest of my life, because I believe in it so much. And so for me, it all starts with alignments first. You have to align yourself with the right person, the right business, and then the assignment comes with it. right? So once you focus on alignments first, the assignment's going to come with it. So what I was looking for is, dude, I was just like you, I really just like started to become the Lighthouse. And I want to talk about the Lighthouse if we have time in a little bit.
Yes, please do, because you told me that one a while back. And I cut you off for a second because I want to just say this. Thanks to your words, my man, like it shifted my coaching style. So like you made a huge impact, not just on me, but on the way that I coach my clients and the boundaries that I've learned to set, but also that helps them learn to set boundaries and be better versions of themselves. So like you made an impact on me and that trickled down to them. So I wanted to say that to you, but please go ahead.
Let's go, brother. I'm excited because it's built on me and it's something that I live by every single day as well. And I'm excited to share with everybody. And so going back to is like, I really focused on looking for the right alignments. And I just knew that in my Lighthouse, I just was praying and I was seeking something. I was like asking God, I was like, just give me a vehicle to go all in on. Like I went all in on the Marine Corps and I lost my vehicle is the way I look at it. And my, vehicle is a mission, it's a purpose. And so I lost my mission and lost my purpose, but I knew I just wanted to help veterans. I knew I wanted to create life of freedom. I knew I didn't want a boss. I knew I wanted unlimited opportunity to grow and develop. And this year I'll be breaking over potentially $250,000.
Hell yeah, let's go.
So it's really exciting is I also wanted to make sure that I was in my core values the whole time. And my core values are integrity. It's leadership, leading myself, being able to lead others. It's equanimity. So equanimity was a new one I developed this year. Is, in case you don't know what that is for listeners, it's never being overexcited, never being under, too down in the dumps. It's that real even, keen, like being able to make decisions in like complex situations and just be like, man, this guy's unfazed. He's in full equanimity, right? Attitude was the next one. If you don't have a good attitude, man, you can't control anything else. Your attitude is your altitude, which you probably have heard before. Wherever you're focusing on is where you're going. And then discipline. Discipline is what creates consistency. Consistency is the eliminator of complacency. So it's a little acronym. It's I lead myself. So it's integrity, leadership, equanimity, attitude, and discipline.
I love that. All right, let's stop for a minute. This is the part of the episode where I asked you to do me a favor. But it's not a favor for me. It's a favor for your fellow brothers and sisters that served with you. If you know someone that has been struggling, if you know someone that has been going through it right now, and you know that they want better for their life, they just don't know how to do it, please share this episode with them. It might just be exactly what they need. That's it. That's my only ask. If you want to subscribe, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Back to the episode. So episode number 50 was actually all about equanimity. I did an episode all about equanimity.
I'll install that. Let's go.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. Yeah, my in sniper school, one of the first things that the chief instructor tells you is do not lose your equanimity. And then he explains it. And I remember writing that word down. I still have the notebook because it was a word that I don't think I had ever heard before until that day. And I love that word because I feel like you can find calm in the chaos. You can make the situation whatever you want it to. Like things happen, are they good or bad? You get to decide, right? Yeah. So I freaking love that word.
It's all decisions. And it's also attitude. So I just love acronyms coming from the Marine Corps. So I lead was my core values. And so that's what I was looking for when I was aligning myself with the right business. And I met my now best friend, Justin Herman. And we were at a men's Bible study on Tuesday. He's like, hey, you should really just check out what we're doing. We do all of the life insurance for veterans. I'm like, okay, sounds great, And another guy that is now in the business a year and a half later, he was actually the one that told me about like, hey, you should really go do it. And so when I do anything, I do everything all in.
Hell yeah.
And so how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So how you do one little thing, you cut your corners, you're going to cut corners in life. And so for me, I go all in on everything I do. And I went all in on this. And so what we do is we're partnerships and work in cooperation with the VFW, the ANVETS, and the American Legion. And we do all the life insurance that fills in the gaps from the VA. And so is it sales? It is sales, but it inherently is sales. But when you come from a place of service, we're actually helping veterans first. We're giving them all their pre-qualified benefits from the VSOs. And then we come in and if they qualify, we get to enroll them. Now, what I love about it even more than that is I get to be a veteran serving veterans. And I get to work. I'm in my home right now. My wife's downstairs. She's full into the business. Like
Awesome.
I'm creating the life that I've always wanted. But what's even better than that is I get to help other people do that. I get to help other people work from home, single moms, veterans that come out with no mission, no purpose. I get to mentor them and show them how to make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month from home. As long as they're positive attitude, coachable, hardworking, committed to growth, and they have ownership, there's a template we have to be able to help veterans, help families be able to go create a life of freedom. This year alone, I went to Ireland, my wife's first time out of the country with Ireland. Then tomorrow, leaving to Ibiza, Spain. I'm going to Costa Rica in December. We're going to Mexico in November, Nashville in November. I've got 6 flights over the next year. The rest of the year, we're going to Mykonos next year, New Zealand next year.
Wow. Working
from home and be able to serve veterans. You're like, Brandon, it sounds too good to be true. And it's like, yeah, it does sound good to be true. And that's the challenge is a lot of people are so used to things being too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
They never take that first step and put themselves out there to find out for themselves. Because I could tell you right now, Juan, unfortunately, I do sit down with a lot of veterans that get to the end of their road and they just have so much regret. There's just so much potential built up. And I feel so sorry for them. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping stop that now. Right. And you do that too. You do such a good job of this. It's like, stop, right? Stop right now, make these changes, remove yourself from being the victim and empower yourself, because you know what I learned is somebody is counting on you to grow and develop, to give them permission to grow and develop themselves.
Yeah.
And I bet you feel that all the time. And that's why we're going to talk about Lighthouse in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I bet you do. And I know I do. And there's a lot of listeners that are listening to this because they want more. And every time, man, I can't tell you how many the times this happened. I see, somebody hurting themselves, somebody losing their mission, losing their purpose. And I'm like, why? Like, there's so much out there. And I'm like, I want to help them. But then I'm sitting on the couch not doing something for myself so that I can create that, followable excellence. Have that template. You have a template with the Vet Rise podcast. You have followable excellence with the way that you're living your life, right? And you have an amazing culture that you're building. So the listeners right now, you're already creating so much value for them, but they have to make a decision to follow them.
I really appreciate that. So many things you said really hit home for me. And I want to see if I can tap on each one of them. But you mentioned that like what you're doing, yes, it's sales, but life is sales, right? And I think the thing that differentiates what people will see as something that, isn't in their best interest, it's about intentionality. It's about like, what is the intention behind what you're doing, right? Because I think you understand, and I'm sure you understand, that you're not selling a product. You're selling like personal security for life, changing someone's life, changing the way that not just they see themselves, but the opportunities that they see for their family, being that generational change. I feel the same way. I'm chasing that freedom. I go all in on everything that I do, and I feel that from you as well. Like, I'm chasing that freedom because I understand that I think that as veterans, we think that thriving in chaos is what we want, when in reality, we have to be able to create that peace for ourselves. So I love that. And I want to touch on what you mentioned about the fact that you see so many veterans that put themselves in these situations that feel sometimes so insurmountable for them that they don't know what to do. So what would be your words of advice, or what would be your thoughts? I think we're going to kind of just go into the whole Lighthouse thing. Like, how do you make sure that you don't personally start feeling that weight on your shoulders, and you don't allow the 1 or 3 or 4 people that you can't help because they don't want the help? They just say they do, but they're not taking action on it, and focus on the people that truly are trying to better themselves and make a change in their life, right?
Yeah. I think kind of into too on what we do too is what's exciting is we get to help veterans create a legacy for their families and with the people that we serve, because we're service first. And then I also get to help veterans create the life that they want to, serving other veterans. And of course, you don't have to be a veteran to do what we do. But one thing that I learned in this business, I always say that our business is transformational, and I know a lot of businesses are, and you're not transitioning into what we do. This is a transformation, because who you are today, let's say you start today, is not going to be recognizable to the people that are around you in 6 months. And what I've found is a lot of family, friends that you have right now may not be there in 6 months, but that's because your growth makes them uncomfortable, because they're so relatable to the person that you were 6 months ago. And so that's what the scariest part is you start to talk this talk, you start to do the things by listening to VetRise podcast, you're going to start to be challenged. And with that challenge, if you accept it, you're going to grow, and the people around you aren't going to know who you are. And so that's part of what people are scared about too. So people are scared about becoming somebody as like an imposter syndrome, right? I mean, for me to talk about these big numbers, like, man, he cares about money and stuff like that, but I know where my heart is at, that I have the people that are scared about those things or think lesser of me than that, they aren't part of that circle of that culture, right? And so what I had to learn is having that Lighthouse versus Tugboat leadership. And what this completely changed my life, because what was happening is I really wanted to help people. I really wanted to help veterans, and a lot of people felt drawn to me. And so what they would do is they'd call me on their worst day, just,
Yeah.
right. I'm getting at, right? And
Yes.
what I found is, so my ex, this is kind of a vulnerable moment. So my ex that I was married to, every single day she'd be like, Branden, you're not a man, you're not enough. I'd rather hurt myself than be with you. And so every single week, every other week, I had to talk her out of hurting herself. And it constantly just broke me down, as like, I'm not good enough. I'm not a man. I'm not worthy enough. This person would rather not be here than be with me. And I just like felt like so broken down. And what I learned is, and she's okay that I know of, what I learned a skill set to be able to help other people. But what I learned later is when I was doing that, I was losing a part of myself with them when I talked them through that stuff. So anytime I helped somebody else, I had attached their success. I attached myself to their success or failures. So if they went out and did really well, I felt that. But if they didn't listen, then I felt that too. And so what I learned is, I brought this up, and Aaron Alejandrino Fitbeard from the High Value Man, is he talked about this Lighthouse versus Tugboat method. So there's 2 different types of leaders. Okay. There's a storm going on in both scenarios. There's lost ship out at the sea, right? The tugboat is going to go out there and help save that lost ship and hope that it brings it back, knowing well that tugboat can lose itself in the storm, and it's going to try and help that ship that's lost at sea come back to land. What we find is sometimes that ship that's lost out at sea isn't even trying to come back to the land, because they don't want to be helped, because they don't want to go to the land. They want to keep venturing out into the storm.
Yeah.
And then you have the lighthouse. The lighthouse is bounded by the land. It has its boundaries. It's there every single day, every single night. It has its beacon of light out into the storming sea, bringing in dozens of ships every single night. The ships that want to be saved, the ships that want to come home and be free, and it's not losing itself along the way. And so for me, that changed my entire life because I started focusing on the people that wanted to be helped. Hey, if you need help, hey, if you need to change your life, if you want something bigger, better, more freedom, I'm going to be here regardless. If you want to be a part of it, come be a part of it. But if you don't want to be, then it's okay. I just can't help every single person, because if I lose myself helping that person that never wanted to be helped, then I can't bring in hundreds of other people, hundreds of other ships every single day and night, right? So that changed my entire life. So we, in our culture, even my team were like, Branden, are you being Lighthouse right now? Or are you being Tugboat? To the point where even my wife asked me, Branden, are you being a Lighthouse right now? Gigi, I'm not. And she's like, okay, well, you need to go be a Lighthouse, because right now you're acting like a Tugboat, and that's not going to save anybody. Am I right? And she's like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Damn.
And so the people around you know about Lighthouse and Tugboat, so they can hold you accountable to when you're being a tugboat. Hey, you're being a tugboat with me, right? So that's how you create freedom. And I feel I sleep better. I'm not attached to the results of everything. I'm here. Hey, if you need help with XYZ, I've got the template. I've got followable excellence. If you want to be a part of that, you know where to find me. And if not, I'm going to pray for you in that storm, but I'm going to stay right here where I'm at, because I'm bounded with a strong foundation. And so that there changed my entire life. And I'm excited.
I love that, man. I love that. I love that so much. You have no idea. It really drives the point home of making the change of the mentality that I think we have as veterans, of always feeling like we have to be in battle to be proven, right? Battle proven and all that. But honestly, being able to bring people to the light with being the Lighthouse is just, it's the right way to do it. It's the right way, because it gives you the power to be able to help those that actually want to be helped, not going out into sea and then losing yourself, like you said. Because I was doing that. I was doing that with my clients, and I would take losses personally when someone wouldn't do well in the program. And I've realized that I wasn't focusing on the ones that were doing really well, the freaking rock stars of the program. So I made a change when we had that conversation way back when, and it's definitely shown. So I appreciate that so much, and thank you for sharing with us.
Let's go. That's awesome, dude.
I want to ask you, what would be the best way for someone to get a hold of you, in touch with you, to get started with you, and what are if you want to talk about requirements, I'm just opening the floor to you to just kind of share that, because that's the point of this. I want to help connect, whoever's listening, to obviously opportunities that you can provide if they want to, right?
Right.
If they want to be freaking saved, if they want to actually go towards the Lighthouse. So here we go.
Love it. Yeah. So obviously you guys can connect with me on Instagram. It's OneFitVeteran. And so you guys are welcome to DM me on there. All I'm looking for is somebody that has our core values of positive attitude, coachable, hardworking, committed to growth, and ownership. If you have those core values, I can teach you what you need to be successful here. But understand that you're going to be held to those core values. And you guys can connect with me on social media. I can give I can give you a link to our company overview and what we do. At the end of the day, what's it going to hurt to watch a 12-minute video to see if it's for you? If it's not, maybe you know somebody that would be a good for. You could be a veteran. You don't have to be a veteran. We've seen a lot of moms, spouses do super well in this business. There's no requirements other than you do have to be licensed, but we'll talk about that. It's super simple. It ain't like real estate. And we serve all 50 states, so you could be anywhere. You're not limited to any time zone. You're not limited to anything. You can challenge it to be good, too good to be true. I'll go live the way I always tell people. It's kind of a joke, but I mean it respectfully. It's like, hey, you may not want to be part of it, but make sure you don't follow me in 2 years, because I'm going to live the life that you wanted to live.
Yes.
So in 2 years, watch that. And I want you to be a part of that too, because we're not limited. We're mass hiring right now because we have 200,000 veterans that leave the service every single year. And all these veterans aren't aware of these benefits they're entitled to. So our job is to educate and distribute policies. So if you want to be a part of that mission to protect, serve, and educate our veterans and their families, ensuring that they have a legacy that's honored, then you can message me. We can talk about it. We can go on a quick call. If not, make sure you're still staying plugged into the Vet Rise podcast and staying connected with this, because this man right here is dropping wisdom bombs. He's poking on the things that you don't want to be talked about. And it's true, because he really does care about you guys. And so do I. That's why we're here, to help serve you guys, spend some time on our Sundays to help you guys. We really do want to see people win, and we want to do really big life and create freedom and peace in ourselves. So DM me anytime at OneFitVeteran, and I'll give you guys a link. But other than that, I'm here to serve you.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and post his link in the comment section of the podcast. I just want to say, if you've been listening to the podcast, if you've been following me on social media, like Branden said, I want to peel back the layers of your reality. I want you to look at things from a different point of view. I believe you have it in you, especially if you had it in you at one point. So if you have been considered, or you considered yourself a high performer, whether in the military, whether you've been out and you feel like you lost it, if you feel like you're looking for that next mission, the next purpose, why not start here? Why not give Branden a freaking shout out, send him a message, and put yourself back in the driver's seat of your life? Like, quit being a freaking just passenger, especially if it's something that you miss. So like Branden said, and I truly believe in what Branden is doing, because trust me, we've been talking for a while, and I've been wanting to get him on the podcast just because we align on a lot of the same values that we have. And he's changing the veteran culture. He's changing the veteran culture because I believe that we have so much capability, so much stored potential that we don't release because we feel like, number one, I think a lot of veterans feel like they need permission, or they don't know how, or they don't know where to start, or they feel like they have to be in this mold. And it doesn't exist. It's not real. There's no mold. You don't have to be a type of veteran. You can venture out, do new things, try new things. And what better way to do that than for yourself and believing in yourself, and not only taking a chance on yourself, but the mold is there. The template is there, right? So like, reach out to Branden and make it happen for yourself. I truly believe that you can.
Go. Let's go. Love it. I want to leave you guys with a quote that really hit me hard. Is just with anything too, this is something that hit me really hard. And whether with like being consistent in the gym, being consistent with like Vet Rise and stuff, or what we do too, I've heard this quote. It said, "It didn't work. I should have listened to my intuition because I knew it wouldn't work." It's no, you listened to it so much that you didn't actually give it all that you got. You have to give it all of you got. It's like discipline. Only you are going to know if you're fully committed, or if you're just making some really good excuses to yourself, because you're only just delaying your success and creating that freedom. Freedom can happen anytime. Peace can happen anytime. And discipline equals that. So love you guys. I love you, Juan. It's been a pleasure being able to serve with you today, serve veterans, and create some value. So
thank you for your time, Branden. I appreciate you. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Vet Rise podcast. If today's episode inspired you, made you think, or simply gave you hope, I have a small favor to ask. Share it with just one veteran or someone you think could benefit from my message. Your share could light a spark for them. You don't know who you might save. For more insights and to join our mission, follow my socials at JP the Veteran Coach and explore how we can rise together. Thank you for joining us, for being part of this journey, and for believing in the power of rising together. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep rising, and never forget that we are stronger together. My name is Juan Perez, and thank you for your time.